You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome back to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 121. I'm Clark from 5Card Guys on Instagram and 5cardguys.com. With me co-hosting, as usual, is Hyung of Integrity Sports Cards. And away for one more episode is John, who is Trade You at Recess, and he should be back next week. So later on the show, we actually have another special guest who joined the pod in a separate recording. His name is Matt Novogratz, and he's the co-founder of Candy Digital. And I heard he was also a big-time collector. So we'll get into that in the interview, as well as get his thoughts on the digital collectibles space and what he thinks the future holds for that. But right now, off the top, speaking of big-time collectors, if you didn't know already, Matt Strahm, a relief pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies, I believe he just signed a 2-year contract worth $15 million. So he's going to be an integral part of their bullpen. Matt Strahm has an extensive collection, and in a recent MLB.com article, he gave the same advice we give on this podcast and about collecting, and he shared a funny story. So this is what he says. He says, collect what you love, which we of course agree with. And he adds, don't chase the dollar sign. That just takes the fun out of it. I got more hyped about a 2019 Tim Hill base card because he's my best friend and I played with him. On YouTube, in the comments, people were like, you got more hyped about the Tim Hill than the Tatis Jr. I'm like, well, Tim Hill eats dinner at my house 3 nights a week in the off season. It's kind of cool. End quote.
I love it.
Yeah, it's PC. It's perfect. But what's also interesting is that Strahm also has a smaller, unique collection, which is that he collects baseball cards of players who have homered against him in the big leagues.
That's good.
So right now it stands at 39 players who homered against him in his 7-year career. And if you're interested, some names on that list include Miggy Cabrera, Freddie Freeman, Yelich, Donaldson, Bellinger, Ryan Braun, and Jose Abreu. Those are the big names. And also guys like John Ryan Murphy and Phil Irvin. So I guess if he's collecting guys like that, that's on the cheaper end. But the Miggy Cabrera might set you back a few hundred. Anyway, I thought that was a cool story.
I think that's great. I think, it's always good to have, players that are collecting. And not only that, I'm guessing that he's saying that the guys that hit home runs off of him are good enough to invest in their card, I guess, for
right.
him, because they're good because they hit a home run off of me. But
yeah.
You better keep that up. That's all I'm saying. You don't want to start, giving up some bombs and then yet you have to buy like constantly. Like it's just nonstop buying. But I think it's great that, we have MLB players involved in collecting. I think a couple guys like Pat Neshek and, other former players are huge. Jordan Lawler and, guys
Phil
like
Hughes.
that. Phil Hughes was a big one. He kind of disappeared. I think he was disappointed in that Sapphire I sold him way back in 2020. He disappeared. But I think it's great for the hobby. I think it brings another dimension, especially with the communication tools such as Instagram and Twitter, where they're reaching out and talking hobby shop to even the fans, right? So I think it's cool. I totally agree. I have a couple friends that are into the hobby just with the same mindset. They don't really care about the dollar value. It's not about the dollar value. It's all about kind of like what they collect and what they love. And you know what? I have absolutely no problem with that. I think I've enjoyed the hobby a lot more when I had that mindset over the last year and a bit, just, really narrowing down my collection. He's like, he has 1 million plus cards where, he loves to rip, right? Where I'm a combination of, I love to buy singles. I love to be on eBay, getting a great deal. Not necessarily because it's a great deal, is because I truly love the card. It's like, is it the best investment? Probably not. But the most important thing is I actually love the card, so I'm going to keep it. And I still have cards to this day that are on my display case that aren't worth, more than $200, but
Yeah.
I love it. I love like my Aaron Judge that I pulled that's jersey numbered 99 out of 99.
Yeah,
I think that's
sweet.
such a cool card. I pulled in an SGC 10. If I sell it, I probably get like $200 for it, maybe if that. But
Yeah.
what's the point? And it has so much more value than that, just through the experience, and also kind of like that it's jersey numbered. So yeah, I think that's where the hobby should be. The focal point should be for people to enjoy it. I still see a lot of people trying to, it's all about the dollar. And, that's when, especially in a bear market, it doesn't matter. We're going to have some rallies in a bear market, but don't let it fool you. So might as well, it's not like you could short these stocks or short these, these cards. So
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, totally agree. And, I personally like this story, and just I love hearing like players collecting cards, or people who have played the game, like yourself, Hyung, too. And you mentioned a couple of friends of yours, and I think we're working on having them come on the
for
show
sure.
in
Absolutely.
a future episode, because it's more personal to you guys. You've played the game,
100%.
and I love hearing the stories behind that, and
100%.
why you collect. Yeah,
Absolutely. And that's why I love, the Bowman first, especially Bowman draft, because a lot of the guys I've coached, I have a little PC you've seen it in my office, where, it's just players that I've coached throughout the years, and them basically, having their first Bowman, auto, or
that's
their,
pretty cool.
First Bowman card that I pulled and I would keep, it's like, it's just a cool thing to collect, for me at least. Other people would look at it like, what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? But they mean so much to me that it doesn't matter really the value of it. It's not for sale, right? So
yeah, for sure. And kind of like you too, I like ripping. I like singles or buying singles, and I like the flip game too. But when I flip, and make a profit on some of these cards, I always allocate a smaller portion of it for my PC. Those
Right.
cards that usually don't even cost a lot, right?
Yeah.
So like for me, it's ex Blue Jays players. I know Will's really big into that too. Our friend Will Choi, same thing, just collecting these kind of PC cards. The one card I won't sell, my very first autograph IP auto card was Mookie Wilson when he played for the Blue Jays, and that's
Mookie Wilson. Wow.
probably worth $1, but
Wow, Mookie
it's
Wilson.
nice and safe. Yeah, I love it. Upper Deck. All right. So yeah, with that, let's go now to the interview I had recently with Matt Novogratz. On the podcast today, we have Matt Novogratz, who is a co-founder of Candy Digital. And if you're a regular podcast listener, we've talked about Candy Digital before, and the idea of NFTs and digital collectibles in general being another great way to be a collector in the hobby. So we're excited to have Matt on the show today. Welcome, and thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So first, before we get right into what Candy has brewing for this upcoming MLB season, I was informed that you're a big-time baseball collector yourself. And from past interviews, I also heard you're a Baltimore Orioles fan. Just want to make sure that's correct.
I'm a big Baltimore Orioles fan. In fact, I'm taking my family down to Orioles spring training tomorrow.
Amazing.
I think it's like our 10th straight year. In fact, not a joke. The lady that walks with the Oriole bird, she knows us, and she emails us ahead of time to make sure we're coming every year. Which is
wow.
So we get VIP treatment from the bird.
I don't know if you can ask for anything more. So
truly can't.
So well, I'm curious. How is your personal collection, and what kind of cards do you like to collect?
Yeah, so I collect everything. From He-Man figures to one of my most prized possessions is I have a mint on card Cobra Commander from 1984.
Nice.
Star Wars figures, WWF figures, but baseball cards have always been my biggest passion.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have every card issued from Topps from 1980 to probably 1994. I love prospects. Bowman Chrome is my favorite set every year.
Yeah.
My personal prize prize card is I got a 1981 TCMA Cal Ripken Rochester Red Wings
Wow, okay.
PSA 10 which I've got a couple.
Rare.
I love those.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I stick with a lot of Orioles. The one cool thing about being 44 is, even though I grew up during the junk the junk card era, the
Yeah.
wax era, is a lot of those cards are cheap. So all the ones that you always wanted as a kid, you can go back and get now.
Exactly.
So I'm constantly buying cards.
I'm with you. I actually turned 45 a few days ago, so we're in the same era there. Definitely collected during the junk wax too. Yeah, it's funny because talking about Bowman Chrome, also my favorite set to collect every year. I just picked up one of my personal grails, the 2009 Mike Trout Bowman Chrome rookie auto.
That's awesome.
So yeah, just saving up for that. And also on the bucket list, you might appreciate this as an Orioles fan, the 1982 Topps traded Cal Ripken rookie card. I'm not sure if you have that already, but
I do. That is one of my favorite cards. I actually just got it about a year ago.
Yeah, amazing card. And yeah, I'm a little bit jealous of your young core. Like you got Adley, Jackson Holiday coming up, Gunnar Henderson I saw play last year. I'm a Canadian, so I'm a diehard Blue Jays fan. We could both hate on the Yankees together, but the AL East is the most competitive division in all of baseball, right?
No doubt. And the Jays have an awesome young core as well.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a pretty crazy division.
It's gonna be fun.
But
season.
yeah, this Orioles core, like I feel, I don't know if it was owed to me as an Oriole fan,
Right.
but it's been a long time coming, and it should be super exciting for the next decade, hopefully.
Agreed. Okay, so well, in addition to being a baseball card collector myself, I also have a collection of NFT cards from Candy Digital. So I definitely see the appeal of opening digital packs, and I definitely get a similar rush when I rip packs in hand, when trying to chase those legendary and those epic cards. Just wondering, are you seeing more, for lack of a better term, old school collectors like ourselves now also buying NFT packs, or do you think Candy is growing because we're seeing more purely digital card collectors coming into the space?
Yeah, look, I'd say it's a mix. We definitely have some people like us in there, and I imagine
Sure.
the bulk of our really hardcore people, or hardcore collectors, they probably have a decent cardboard collection as well.
Yeah.
I think a big focus of ours this year is to connect better with the cardboard collecting, or the traditional collecting community.
Right.
We need to be at more shows. We need to show the value of NFTs to those collectors.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And yeah, from the other end of things, like I have a 6-year-old son who I just just watching him, he just gets excited opening digital packs than real life packs, and I could totally see the future generation of collectors really being integral to the growth of the digital collectibles industry.
Yeah, no doubt. I've got a 9-year-old son who I think he would rather play Roblox with his friends than
Right.
literally anything on earth. So the idea, do I think he's going to go to a card show in 20 years? I hope so, but I know he's going to be collecting digital baseball cards.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. All right. I find one of the cool things about collecting digital cards is that you can get involved with various campaigns, like collecting challenges, as Candy has done. You turn points or to unlock rewards, because it's just so much easier to keep track of all of them digitally. Since running the different Candy campaigns, what's the engagement like from collectors? Have you seen collectors really get into some of these campaigns?
No doubt. I mean, it's one of the things that really separates digital cards from physical cards, that we can do this kind of stuff. And we have an incredible amount of challenges that we've got coming up come opening day. We've got a thing called Code Breakers, it's going to be like a Wordle style game where you can use initially your core cards from team packs to unlock rarer cards.
Yeah.
We're going to have challenges based on new ones every day, and most importantly, our first ones will use like original assets, so reward those early adopters, the people that have been long-term holders as well. So yeah, it really gives us flexibility, adds a whole like dynamic element to it, which is pretty exciting.
Nice. Yeah, actually, that's a perfect segue to my next question, because another benefit, of course, with NFTs is that, and we talked about this before on a previous episode on our podcast, is that you can always add utility to these digital assets that we collect. And I guess you kind of answered it partly. Do you have plans to add utility for some of the upcoming releases and even past collectible pieces? Any specific plans like that?
Yeah, for sure. We've done a lot of cool in real life experiences over the past couple of years. People have thrown out first pitches of games. national. We did something with the Nationals where the racing presidents came over to your house to do a barbecue,
Wow.
which is pretty awesome.
That's crazy. Yeah.
We're going to continue to add on to that. We're through our rewards program this year. We're going to have both digital rewards and in real life experiences, tickets, meet and greets, things of that nature. But we're certainly going to lean into physical and digital.
Great. Yeah, love to hear that. Well, just focusing more now on everything Candy has released to date, including the Stadium Series, which was really cool. I'm glad to see Rogers Center in there, of course. And more recently with the various icon packs and the plays of the day clips. Can you talk about what kind of new products and campaigns do you have coming in 2023?
Yeah, 2023, we're going to be a whole lot more nimble this year. So
okay.
We're starting off with a thing called Showstoppers, which is 43 of the top players. It's a super small set, only doing 3 tiers of rarity. So legendary, epic, and rare. So every pack is going to be pretty valuable.
Cool.
We're going to follow that up with team packs. And then we're going to start getting into our monthly cadence of very small, very thematic drops. And that's just the icons. With play of the day, which we had last year, which was really cool, highlighting the best play 12 hours after, essentially, the next day, which you could mint on demand as an open edition. We're pivoting this year a bit to make it a bit more exclusive, add a bit scarcity to it by doing packs of the week. So each week we'll have different rarity levels based on the actual how cool the play was, essentially. So the epic highlight will be it'll be super epic, which will be fun.
Yeah.
So that we're very excited about that. So yeah, the idea this year is frequent smaller drops.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that. And in terms of planning, like with NFTs, like the NFTs communities in general, and of course with digital cards, that space, they're always looking for the next thing. And I feel like I don't want to typecast or stereotype NFT collectors, but you know, things move a lot faster online and they're looking for things all the time. Was that difficult in terms of planning ahead of like what you're going to release, even like from a year ago, like with the MLB season coming up, we got to have something for April, May, June, July, August, September, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, we've been drinking out of a fire hose for 2 years, so it has been easy. But that said, having the structure now, it feels pretty repeatable going forward. It's a whole lot more manageable to plan this far ahead. And look, we can it's just something to stick by, and it helps for our community to know what's coming, what they can save up for, what they can get excited about. So it helps everybody.
Awesome. Just have a couple more questions. Like you mentioned, like the 2020, 2021, it's almost like you couldn't lose collecting. It was a great time for the hobby, this hobby boom. But is there anything you learned during that period, and just lessons you learned kind of, you take forward in terms of planning ahead and just what you can do better?
The lesson, we just always have to keep building. We've always got to get better. We've got to add more engagement. That's something that's a key theme of this year. How do we make our collectibles more engagement? How do we make the whole experience more engaging? You'll see that with these campaigns. You'll see that with our rewards. We've got a great community. We want to grow that community. We're going to do that through all sorts of various marketing campaigns, through tickets, through player partnerships. But so that's our key focus this year. Reward our diehards. Grow the base, because look, I think we're doing something pretty spectacular, and we need more people involved.
Awesome, yeah, and no doubt with NFTs and with digital cards becoming more popular, there'll be obviously more competition. So it's great that you guys got a head start. And you mentioned this already, Showstopper icons. I believe that will be the first real release for 2023 in this MLB season.
That's right. It's about 2 weeks away, right before opening day. It should be awesome. Best my chance to get an epic Adley, which is exciting.
Nice.
And yeah, there's also really cool. We're including 23 special inserts that if you get one of these tickets, it will unlock a pack for every pack drop we have for the rest of the season.
Oh,
so
awesome.
It's kind of a Willy Wonka-ized NFT.
That'll be a good chase for sure.
For sure.
And I was looking at the list of 43. I'm glad to see our boys Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and that you obviously couldn't let those guys out of the list.
Yeah, you gotta have Vladdy in there, and I mean, Bo is guy's on fire. He's gonna have a huge year. I'm worried about those Jays.
Some people complain. A lot of our listeners are actually from New York City, so I'm not sure if they complain that we talk a lot about Jays often, but we got a good core. We're just proud of our core.
What's interesting is if you spend time on our Discord, it feels like we have an outsized amount of Jays fans. We got a lot of people from Toronto, which is always fun. I worked for RBC for many years, so
No way.
I've got a soft spot in my heart for the Jays.
You're an honorary Canadian.
That's right.
Yeah, and
I've had a lot of poutine.
I don't know why it hasn't caught on around the world. Poutine's amazing.
You can't go wrong with it. It's basically like it's like a Thanksgiving nacho.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. Well, you're mentioning that. I guess the one other benefit of NFTs and digital cards, like you could collect internationally. There's no, distribution, anything like that you have to worry about. Do you see collectors from around the world getting involved with collecting candy?
We do. We certainly do. And with some of our other projects, like with Netflix, it was even more distributed.
Right.
But we have collectors from all over the world, which is exciting. And it's a great way quite frankly, it's a great way for teams to figure out like where they have fans. They might not realize that they've got, big fans in Thailand, for instance.
Right.
So the more we build this out, the cooler I think that experience is going to be. And I think that's like the real value of NFTs. It's connecting these communities from around the world. Like I don't know where people go to discuss their He-Man collections, but I imagine this is a way to bring these, because all these things are just different communities, and that's what we're trying to foster, to bring those communities together.
Yeah, I love it. Matt, appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us on the pod to talk all things candy, and good luck to your Orioles this season.
Thanks a lot, and to you as well. Thanks for having me on.
All right, just want to thank Matt Novogratz again for joining the pod, and we'll see soon enough what the 2023 MLB digital cards by Candy Digital looks like with the start of the season. Really only a week's away, so that's pretty exciting. All right, let's go on to our next reoccurring segment, which we call Overrated, Underrated. And the theme for today's segment of Overrated, Underrated is non-rookie cards. All right, so I feel like I did this before, but it's a new selection of non-rookie cards. Okay, so I'll give you a list of 4 different types, and you just say if you think they're overrated or underrated. Okay, so the first one, modern autograph cards of retired players. You got that? Modern
cards. Okay, I think I get it.
So if you pull who signs a lot?
Jose Canseco.
Yes. Yeah. You pulled a Jose Canseco Topps 5-star.
I actually pulled a Jose Canseco. It was a redemption, and okay. I love it. I'm sending it to PSA. Jose Canseco is a great, legend of mine. But with that said, from an investment standpoint, probably overrated. But I don't mind it. I actually like it. I just wish it wasn't just retired players. They're not just giving out autographs to anybody or irrelevant players. I like players that are collectible. So it's like if I got a Jose Canseco auto or a Joe Carter auto, you know what I mean? I'd be pumped. But if I got like somebody that like maybe wasn't even that good in the first place, I wouldn't be thrilled. They just retired. You know what I mean? So I would like of relevant players, relevant retired. Yeah, right. Yeah. But okay. I think it's underrated.
Okay, yeah. I think it's slightly underrated too. Like I pulled, and I shared this on the podcast. I pulled the Ozzie Smith red
sick.
Border card. Yeah, numbered to 25.
So sick.
On card, love it.
Oh, absolutely speaking of the last two rips I had, and they were just random. So I ripped 2022 Topps Finest. I pull a Derek Jeter auto, and it was an amazing auto because it's a refractor auto of like Topps Finest moments, and he's like fist pumping with the Derek Jeter autograph. I'm like, are you kidding me? This card's insane. And then I opened up a box of Topps Chrome Update just recently, this past week, and I pulled a Albert Pujols All-Star Game, St. Louis Cardinals his last year auto.
Yeah, amazing.
So I was like, this is amazing. The experience, I'm more pumped at pulling those autos than I would have pulled a rookie auto or, whoever the chase was. So I love that they put like stuff like that where it becomes part of a chase. Give me a Shohei Ohtani auto in 2023. I don't care. It's a Shohei auto, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I completely agree. Like it's sometimes I go on eBay just for fun and look for like a Derek Jeter non-rookie auto, of a recent set. Yeah, and I'm looking more for like the look of the card, how cool it looks.
Right.
And then of course it has the Derek Jeter
eye
auto.
Appeal. Yeah.
Yeah. That's for me. I love those kind of cards. So yeah, I think we're both underrated on this. Okay, here's a slightly different spin to it. Autograph cards of current players, but in their non-rookie years.
Oh, I guess I just mentioned that, like guys like Shohei Ohtani or Mike Trout. I don't think there's a lot of value in kind of like the non-chase. So I would say Trout would be a chase. Sure. Shohei would be a chase. Julio, Acuna, Tatis, Soto would all be a chase. People would be thrilled to pull that out. And I have no problem with, I love those. Like, I think they're great. I think they're great hits that are outside of the regular chase. It's not like you're like, oh, I want a 2023 Juan Soto auto.
Right.
But then if you get it in a rip, you're like, hey, I'm not complaining. This was a pretty nice box, right? Yeah. So I'm going to say I like it. I like it all. Non-rookie cards of current players, I'm in. Again, it has to be relevant players. Remember, Panini, Fanatics, Topps list, it's all about the user experience. When people rip, they just want to feel good. So give them something, right? Like something that's worthy of something, Yeah.
I think a lot of people will be behind you on that for sure. I'm going to take a different angle to it. I think it's slightly overrated just because there's so many subsets, so many parallels, especially in the non-rookie years, that it starts to devalue their card values, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So like, parallel that's numbered to 135 for some, it's a new parallel. Right. It's not a rookie, and it's worth something, but I think generally people are overpaying for it still just because it's an autograph card and it's not even the rookie. So, and it's not even a popular parallel. So I feel like until the manufacturers reduce the print runs on some of these card sets, I think it's going to remain a little bit overrated. But again, if it's a relevant player, then yeah, for sure you'd be psyched, you'd be pumped to get it, right? So.
I say they take away all irrelevant players and their autos. That way, fill them up with relevant autos, things that you'd be happy about. Auto is the hit. You don't want to be like pumped and then you're like sad after, because it's like it's like you're trying to win another odd battle. Like, you know what I mean? It's impossible odds against you. And then, it's like you pull the auto and then you're just like, it's a red auto or orange auto or something relevant. And it's like, oh, nobody. If there was just, more relevant people would be pumped, regardless if it was, a base or, a parallel. So that's just my 2 cents.
Just to play devil's advocate, how about, if you got a player, did nothing for 3-4 years, but reinvented himself and just, started killing it in, year 5, 6, and 7. And, the manufacturers, because they took your advice, Hyung, didn't get their autos when they're in their first, second, third year.
Well, they then you collect their year that they tore it up, right?
I got it.
So for instance, Kyle Tucker, I pulled a Kyle Tucker auto, blue auto out of a blaster in 2022 Chrome. His rookie is, I think 2019 or something like that. And I had no business pulling Kyle Tucker at the time. He wasn't great his rookie season. I mean, he was still young.
Right.
But look at him now. He's a stud. And I pulled a color auto, blue auto out of a blaster box, and he's relevant now. He's tearing it up. And I'm just like pumped because it's like I got a blue Kyle Tucker auto. That's not his rookie. So
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Let's go to the next one. How about superfractors of non-rookie cards?
God, you're just hitting all my favorites. Like I'm all in. I'm all in on this. I'm all in. I think some cards are so iconic and people don't realize they're iconic. Like for me, I think one day, like for instance, if I got Soto's Rookie Cup Superfractor, I would be interested buyer in that. Obviously, the price would dictate that, but I think that's an iconic card. I think cards that, for instance, you even look at in basketball, like the chalk toss, or the Kobe LeBron, like having a superfractor of that, wouldn't you be pumped up? Even though it's not a rookie, it's a iconic card that becomes iconic. And I think in baseball specifically too, there's a lot of cards that, if you rip a lot, you know your cards, right? So it's like you go over and over ripping 2018, 2019. I know what 2018 is. If I'm pulling a card that's, that I've seen a lot, and then, it's a popular card, and then you pull the superfractor of that, like a Mike Trout, some of his Topps Chromes are pretty popular in terms of collectible, and having a superfractor of that would be amazing. So I think superfractor collecting in general is underrated because it's a one of one.
But the argument against that is like there's so many one of ones.
For sure, you can't be an idiot about it and buy every superfractor because it's a one of one. I got many superfractors I'll sell you if you're just collecting superfractors. But my point was it has to be of iconic cards. I'm not talking about every single superfractor. I'm saying iconic cards here. Like it's a play. I'm just saying it's a play.
That's a good point. Because when I put this on the list, I was thinking more of those non-iconic cards. Like, just say I had a Kyle Tucker. His actually Bowman Chrome draft was 2015. So let's say a 2019, his fourth year, Kyle Tucker superfractor of, in Topps Chrome.
But that would be his rookie, because I think his 2019 was his rookie card. So
that was a bad example. But 2021, let's say that.
2021, exactly. So like I said, I don't think I would necessarily love that Kyle Tucker because I would have to deem it iconic, or I would use that as trade bait though. To me, it's like that's easy trade bait. A Kyle Tucker fan would be drooling all over that.
That's true.
You know what I mean? It's worthless to me, really. But I mean, you could auction it off on eBay, or you could just find a Tucker super collector, right? Yeah. So they are in demand, is what I'm saying. So, and it's all dependent, obviously, on who. I've pulled, John Smoltz superfractors in Stadium Club Chrome. This guy's a Hall of Famer, but like for me, it's like I ended up selling for $89 on eBay. Like I don't want this card. It's like I have zero interest, but I pulled it. Right. But I had zero interest, but other cards I might be all over, right? So yeah, I think it's all dependent on the player, but I think in general, superfractor collecting is underrated.
Yeah, me too. I thought I could get you with like just the fact that there's so many superfractors out there these days.
That's true.
So yeah, you got to be careful which one you're chasing. Okay, last one. Second year vintage sports cards. And I'm not talking like the major ones. Let's scratch out Mickey Mantle. Obviously the second year one is pretty special. But just like everyone talks about the rookie cards of the vintage, especially vintage baseball. But the second year, not as much. You think there's a play there?
Well, not on the non-relevant players. You're killing me here.
This is a big caveat for this segment.
I think we got to put a disclaimer here that there has to be relevant players. Right. Like, I don't mind it. I like that about the hobby. I think more people should do it. I think more people should be collectors. That's why. You know what I mean? It's like, I think it would be cool to have a 53 Topps mantle. I know right. But then you're talking about relevant players, right? Or like, I think there's opportunities with even the superstars where like a Willie Mays or, Hank Aaron, the price drops down immensely, but there may be future opportunities or plays there, right? So for me, I like it. It's a piece of history. I view vintage collecting as art collecting. You're taking a piece of history. So I don't mind that play. I think that's something that I would love to do personally for my PC. It's just for some reason I keep on buying modern cards. It's crazy, but yeah, I'm gonna still say underrated as well. Okay.
You love to chase. That's why. That's why you buy.
I do. I know.
Modern cards. It's fun prospecting. How about like I was looking at the Ken Griffey 1990 Upper Deck. PSA 10 goes.
Yeah, I don't think that falls for in a vintage set.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
you're talking.
That's true.
Yeah, junk wax era, downtown junk wax era.
All right, let's look at Bob Gibson. No, yeah, that's true.
Like a Bill second year, like a Bill Buckner or something.
Right.
Like it's like I wouldn't even know if I collect his rookie card, to be honest. But
right.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He was a pretty relevant player in his generation. But I could see like it all depends on the collector, I guess. But I think in general, like there's if I seen a bunch of vintage cards and they were rare and it was a collection, like a portfolio, somebody showed it to me, I think it would be the coolest thing. I'd be looking at their cards like, I've never seen this. So I want what's this worth? Like very curious.
Yeah. I'm going to say it's underrated. Like I'm looking more mid to long term. If let's say Fanatics does what they hope to do, which is 10x the industry, have more collectors come in, more sports fans come in, and like these cards, like more people that are in the hobby will want some of these second year cards, of their favorite players, of the players that they saw growing up. And I think just by virtue of that, there'll be a higher demand. And I agree with you also. Like, I think more people should just get into the art of collecting, collect what you love ultimately. Yeah. And, even if it's a player that you never heard of, unless you're from that hometown, go for it. That's do you. All right. Okay. That's a fun segment of Overrated, Underrated. I'll think of another theme the next time we do this with John. All right, let's finish off the show with our regular weekly segment we call Pick One. And if you're new to the program, this is when both of us will choose two players and then we debate which card we would rather invest in. All right, so Hyung, do you want to do the honors and start things off?
Sure. I got one actually from a good buddy of mine, Jason Willow. He's a baseball guy and a fellow collector, and nice. He wanted to do a Bobby Witt Pick One. So if you're in the market for a Bobby Witt Jr. rookie card, he was pairing the 2022 Topps Chrome Sapphire, Bobby Witt Jr., so number 72. So there's two Sapphires. There's a Sapphire Update and a regular Sapphire. The regular Sapphire image is of him playing third base. It's a defensive image where his Update is kind of like his flagship image, which I like better than the regular Topps Chrome Sapphire. But the Topps Chrome Sapphire is a lot more rare. It's Pop 36, and he's pairing that up. So PSA 10, and that sold for about, I'd say between $500 to $650-ish, somewhere around there. They're similar in price both, versus the 2022 Topps Chrome Image Variation. He said the Topps Update Bobby Witt Jr. SP Image Variation. Okay. So I'm guessing. I thought it was the Topps Chrome Image Variation, but you know what? Let's go the Topps Chrome SP.
Okay.
So Topps I don't Chrome know the SP. Pop cap. Yeah, you know the one where he's standing on second base, because the price point's very similar. You're looking at $500 to $700. So in a PSA 10. So you got the Sapphire, regular Sapphire PSA 10. Versus the SP Image Variation of Topps Chrome. Okay.
The Topps Chrome Update is the one he's standing on second, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, I see it. All right. Oh, man, I think it's an easy one. Just for me, the rule, generally speaking, is like, and these are around 500, so I don't want to say they're lower end, but they're mid end, right? And I guess when you get to that level, I like to generally go for the eye appeal of the card, right? And all things considered fairly equal, like in terms of price and maybe even pop count. So I know we talked about, Sapphire being a little gimmicky sometimes. And I know in past episodes we put Sapphire down, or at least I have. But I love the color match. I'm a sucker for the color match with the sapphire blue. I love it. It's
nice. Yeah, it's sweet.
I love it. And obviously I prefer the what was the one that where he's batting? Is that the Topps Chrome Update Sapphire?
Yeah, that's the Topps Chrome Update Sapphire.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, right? But I don't mind the defensive pose either at him at third base. So just complete eye appeal, and at $500, that's pretty decent price for me. At a PSA 10 grade, I'm going to go with the Topps Chrome Sapphire.
Interesting. And just to give you context, the Topps Chrome, it's the Topps Chrome Bobby Witt Jr. Refractor, right? That's what we said. The SP, the silver pack.
Okay.
So that's the image I was talking about, not the Topps Chrome Update. But anyways, it's a Pop 61, and then the Topps Chrome Sapphire is a Pop 36. So very similar.
Right.
The Topps Chrome SP Refractor is basically a double the Pop, but they trade at the same price.
Okay.
I personally don't love the image like you. It's kind of like boring on the Topps Chrome Sapphire. But I do like the rarity of it. I just think long term, there's some cards like the Julio Sapphire in that set. It's same thing. It was a lot less print run than what I think people are actually experiencing. So I'm saying it's a super low print run and it's going to be super rare. So I'm going to say Sapphire as well. I think long term, there's some legs in that card for sure.
Okay, there you go. Sapphire sweep. All right. So my pick one, I'm just trying to prep for my fantasy baseball league, and I'm trying to get some, sleepers here and there. I don't know if these guys don't qualify as sleepers, but in the hobby, I feel like they're sleepers, like underappreciated guys, right? And, some might be surprised, actually, if you're not following baseball close enough, that guys like Kyle Tucker, he's in top 15 in fantasy baseball drafts.
Crazy.
You know what I mean? Amongst the big boys, right? Like Shohei and Juan Soto, Vladdy, and then you're like, Kyle Tucker, he's part of that group. And
he's
just doesn't get the respect in the hobby. So I was looking at his 2015 Bowman Chrome Draft, BGS 9.5, 10 auto, last sold for around $300, right? Which I think's a pretty good price. And then, I love this guy, 2015, also in the same year, Bowman Chrome, Rafael Devers, his rookie auto, BGS 9.5, same grade, went for $330. So pretty similar in price. Let's say $300 on average. Which one would you go for?
So the Devers is a base.
Yep, they're both base.
So Devers is definitely for me the better guy to invest in my opinion. He's the better baseball player. He's going to have the better career. He hits for better average. He has more home runs, but Kyle Tucker has, some brass, some World Series rings. But also I like the refractor. I like shiny things. And,
right. The Kyle Tucker is a refractor.
Yeah. So at $300, like for me, there's a lot of potential in Kyle Tucker. I don't think I would do this as a long-term move. I would probably look at it as a short-term flip in this sense. And I know Devers, he could win MVP. His price ain't moving. And we all know that, and maybe we're wrong, but to me, there's more volatility in Tucker, and because it's a short-term play, I think the refractors could make a huge bump if he ends up having kind of like that. If he ends up hitting like 290, gets his average back to 290 with 30 plus bombs, and he steals like 30 bags, I think he'll make some noise because he has back 30 plus home run years, and he's being a huge impact on a winning Houston Astros team. I think there's a lot of opportunity there from a $300 refractor standpoint. So I'm going to say Kyle Tucker.
All right, Kyle Tucker. Oh man,
you're going to cheat on your boy.
I'm going to cheat on him. Damn it, I'm going to cheat on him. Sorry, Rafi. I bought the exact card, was it a year ago or 2 years ago now? I can't remember. And, I'm like, oh, people are sleeping on Rafael Devers. And I bought it for $300 2 years ago.
What's it at still now? Sideways?
It's $330. Yeah.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Just It hasn't moved, and he's done well, right? It's solid seasons, and to your point, just like I don't know what it's gonna take, and even if he wins an MVP, maybe they'll add another $100. Like I just don't think the hobby gives him enough respect. So I think the higher upside play is definitely Kyle Tucker, still a young guy as well, and everything you mentioned about it being a refractor, which I forgot to mention, and playing for a very good Houston Astros team that could win again.
You know who Devers kind of reminds me of, and you could draw a parallel comparison, is Jose Ramirez. I have a feeling that Devers is going to be similar to Jose Ramirez. Like obviously Jose Ramirez is kind of on a Hall of Fame trajectory. He's 29 years old, the 40 WAR, and that's Devers in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His stats are very identical. So like that scares me, because if you look at Ramirez's market, it ain't going anywhere at all. Just a side note, what I've noticed, because I've looked at some Jose Ramirez cards that are pretty cheap in my opinion, but yeah. So that's just to give it context. A good comp. Yeah,
that's a very good comp. And I think our hobby friend Scotty B Cards is there with you. He loves Jose Ramirez, I believe, and he's collect him. But yeah, it's just I don't know what they got to do to get the hobby,
crazy.
The value up for the cards. So unfortunately, Rafael, for my PC, I guess he'll be for my PC, but definitely not as an investment card. All right, that wraps up another Tuesday episode. Once again, thank you for Matt Novogratz for coming on by and just speaking with us. And we'll have another episode in a week on Tuesday, as we usually do. Please tell your friends about our podcast. We love having more people come and subscribe and listen to us talk about sports cards. We love it. All right, we'll see you next week. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU@Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.